everyone. I know I keep on saying that I'm going to stick to making a video once per week. With life, work, and everything else is just absolutely insane. I promise you that I have hundreds of ghost stories I'm going to share, and once I actually get some time, I'll make a bunch of videos. But for now, I'm going to try to stick to my once per week. Keep like subscribing, and here's another ghost story. So the story takes place, me and my friend were looking for a haunted location to do some ghost hunting in. We had picked up a book, a New England haunted or New England paranormal or something, and in it we had found several locations that we were interested in, but one really stuck out to us was a haunted mansion, an undisclosed location. I'm not going to give a location, so sorry. The location had been maybe an hour 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours, so we were really reluctant to drive all the way, not knowing if we could find it. But we took the drive. When we got up there, we stopped at a local convenience store, and we had asked the clerk at the counter if he ever heard of it, and he was really reluctant to tell us. If you say, he was very weird about it. So we left. And, we were not even 2 minutes down the road, we got pulled over by a police officer. And he asked us what we were doing up there. And we were straightforward with him. We were told that we were looking for a supposed haunted mansion. And surprisingly enough, he told us exactly how to get there. And even how to get in. So we drove up, I think it was not even 2 miles down the road where we were, and we found it. We couldn't find how to get in the way he told us to, so we ended up hopping over this huge stone wall. And as soon as you hop over, this clearing, and you can see the entire house. And for us that night, the moon was out. You could see the entire house as clear as day. It was absolutely huge. You were surprised why anybody would abandon such a beautiful place. And supposedly, as the story goes, what we read was the owner had shot his wife, his 2 kids, and ended up committing suicide in the tool shed out back. Again, it was just a story, but you gotta go with a story. So we walked up to the house, and everything was pretty much boarded up. And we finally found in the back, it was kind of boarded up, but the board was off enough for us to hop through this window. As soon as we hopped through the window, it looked like we had hopped into what looked like a living room. And the smell of an old house, that old musty smell, just hit you. And it was almost like somebody opened a can of it and just opened up in your nose. You could smell it right away. And it definitely looked like no one had been in there for a couple of years. Looking around, you could see that there's a whole bunch of furniture had been covered up with rags or whatever to call it, bedspreads or something. The old haunted house looking thing where they covered up with white sheets. So we just kind of stood there for a couple seconds, taking this place in, the immense size of it in the living room. We began to walk into what looked like a parlor. There had been, it was completely empty. But it was beautiful. It looked like it was stone flooring or something. It was glass flooring. It was very shiny, and it was almost like it was been there a day. It was so new. Walking through, you could hear our footsteps, and everything we said echoed. Everything we did echoed. We walked through a doorway, left and right to us was a hallway, and then we walked straight and into the kitchen, and the kitchen had definitely looked like it had been there for years. Very dusty. There had still been pots and pans laying around, but it had been pretty, everything was taken, or somebody had taken stuff out. So we stood in the kitchen for a couple of seconds, and we were discussing the story, and we're kind of hoping that us discussing the story might kind of stir things up. And I remember my friend had been standing in front of me, and I've been sitting in the back, and he said, "Hey, look at that!" And well, we looked outside to a courtyard, and we could actually see the tool shed that the guy had supposedly committed suicide in. And you kind of get that chill up your back that maybe the story is true. I mean, we see the tool shed. So we exited the kitchen, and we took a left down the hallway. And again, if you can imagine, this hallway is absolutely huge, and it had rooms to left and right, all empty. And we came back to the parlor, and we had taken a left to the living room, and we walked out to the right of another hallway and into this huge room. And it actually looked like the entrance to the front of the building. So now we're in the front of the building, in the front of the mansion, and they have a huge staircase in front of us. So we decided that we wanted to go upstairs. I was at the bottom of the stairs, and my friend Brett was at the top, and he had gotten to the top, and I was just maybe in my third or fourth step when I got the sudden urge to run up the stairs for some odd reason. If you can imagine the feeling of being in the basement, you shut the lights off and wanting to run up the stairs because there's something behind you. That's the only feeling I can give you, or give you close to what I had felt. So pretty much exactly what I did was I ran up the stairs, and we got to the stairs, and he said, kind of just joked around me. He said, "What, was something behind you?" And I said, "Felt like it." And that's when we took a left, and we had to go up another little set of stairs and to a connection of hallways and rooms. And we had stepped into what looked like a bedroom. There was nothing in it, and we were kind of looking out the window, and we heard what sounded like footsteps coming up the stairs, and these were clear enough for us to both look out the doorway, thinking that somebody was coming up the stairs. And I'm thinking that maybe it was a police officer had to come check on us or something. I mean, we had already been there for about 30 minutes. And we looked out we shined our flashlights out, there's nothing there. And as soon as we shined our flashlights, the sound had disappeared. So we walked out of the bedroom, took a left and down the hallway and into another bedroom, and it definitely looked like a children's bedroom. It was smaller than most of the bedrooms, but the walls were painted a pink. And I remember getting a chill at my back, and what it sounded like to me was a laughter, or a laugh of a little kid. And I turned to my friend Brett, and his demeanor, or the look on his face, was an absolute shock. And I hadn't noticed because I was staring into the bedroom, but the door behind us had what looked like somebody had taken a shotgun, a buckshot, and blown through the door. A couple of rounds had been inside the doorway, and I think that's when both of us really took this story to actual consideration that this is real. And I think then that's when it kind of took an evil feeling to it. So putting past that what I heard, we walked out into the hallway, and at this point, honestly, I'm ready to leave because, for one, I don't think if the story be true, I don't think it's right, and I think it's disgusting and just inhuman to do something like that. But that's not me to judge. We carried on. We took a left out of the bedroom to the hallway, into straight forward. You could see on your left hand side was a bathroom, and then into another huge, absolutely massive bedroom. I'm guessing this was the master bedroom. And I remember we walked in, and the the bed frame was still there. There was no mattress or anything, but the bed frame had been there, and we heard what sounded like somebody running down the hallway, and I can definitely say that it sounded like children's footsteps, and it sounded like it ran into one room to another, and we heard a door slam. So we both darted out of the room to find that the door to the bedroom that we had just been in had been closed. So we went up to the door and we tried to open it, and the door completely, would not open. With pushing, pulling the doorknob, trying to get this thing open, we couldn't open it. So we decided that we were just going to go back down the stairs, and we started descending down the first set of stairs, and as soon as we did, we heard the door creak open, and out of the corner of my eyes, I saw what looked like a figure of a child standing in the doorway, and then slammed the door again. And I grabbed my friend by the shoulder, and I squeezed him, and I said, "Look." And so we both ran up back up the stairs, and I think at this point, it was out of pure fear of us doing this. There was no courage there. There was complete fear of us running into this room. And we ran into the room, and I remember walking in, and the chill that ran up my spine it felt like someone took an ice cube and just ran up my back. All the hairs on my arms, my back, everything just stood up, and you get that electrical feeling that you get when you're around the presence of a spirit. And it was absolutely freezing. And I mind you this time it was about August. It wasn't too hot that night, but it was warm enough that we had t-shirts on, and the room was absolutely freezing. And I had a temperature thermometer on me, and I walked out into the hallway, and the hallway itself read, I think it was like 60 degrees, and you walk into the room, and it was dropped down to 20. So we started recording, and I'm sitting there completely scared trying to speak, but he was getting words out just fine. I remember when he was talking, I was holding up the voice recorder, and I felt something against the wrist on my wrist on my right arm, and it started pulling my wrist down. Now, the motion of this was not, I can't explain it. It felt as if my arm was doing it by itself. And I hadn't noticed it was actually doing it, so that's the only way I can explain it to you, is that my arm was doing it by itself. And it finally came down just enough to my waist, where I think you could consider a child that size would be. And I felt this rush through my body of complete fear. And all I wanted to do was run. And as soon as I felt this feeling, we heard what sounded like heavier footsteps coming down the hallway, and more prominent, more coming towards us footsteps. Enough for us to wanted to run out the hallway, but as soon as we got into the hallway, we saw, what I saw was a black shadow coming towards us, and we ran to the left into another bedroom. At this time, we're not thinking clearly. We're completely scared, but me being myself, I have to get this. I have to capture this. I have to see this for myself. And the sound broke through the air, almost like a cannon. It sounded like a gunshot. Boom. And we heard two shots, and we're thinking somebody's in the house with a gun. Somebody's here. So, but then the story came right back to us, and the chill ran back up our spines, and we booked it for the staircase. Ran down the small staircase, ran down the hallway, and I remember running. I was behind him. He was a faster runner than I was, and I remember having the feeling of someone was running behind me, and I actually felt somebody grab my shirt and pull me backwards, and I'm doing this, and I'm grab my friend. He pulls me, and I fall forward onto my knees, get up, and we just ran for the window we had came in, jumped out the window. I mean, it was more of a we rolled out the window and kind of just ran a couple feet away from the house and kind of gathered ourselves. And we're thinking, should we go back in? Shouldn't we? I mean, we're here to gather evidence. Who's going to believe us? But I said, this whole thing is not good. We need to leave. We need to get out of here, and that is precisely what we did. And the story, and again, if you remember what I said in the beginning, the story goes as if the father had shot both the children and his wife. Now, we didn't see another child's room. We did see the first one that looked like a child's room. It was painted pink. He did have a daughter. He had a son and his wife. I don't know if the story is true, but what happened to us that night can definitely foretell anything. I'm not sure. What happened to us that night, maybe the story is true. Again, I'm not going to disclose this location, but you can look it up on Google, haunted location in Massachusetts or Massachusetts mansion murders. I think that's what the storyline actually was in the book. So, I hope you guys like this one. I still have goosebumps from just telling it and just thinking of it.